coming home, I'm coming home. Tell the world I'm coming.
Imagine a world that runs on one substance so critical that entire nations would go to war to secure it, so essential that a shortage could halt factories, ground fleets, and topple governments overnight. For most of the 20th century, that substance was oil, and empires rose and fell on pipelines, tankers, and the fragile geography of a few oil-rich regions. But today, quietly, without headlines proclaiming it, humanity has replaced one addiction with another, because the modern economy no longer runs primarily on barrels of crude. It runs on grains of silicon, sliced, etched, and layered into the microchips that power everything from your phone to hypersonic missiles to the servers hosting the artificial intelligence reshaping our world. And here is the uncomfortable truth few want to say out loud. Nearly all of the world's most advanced semiconductors, the tiny brains inside almost every piece of modern technology, are manufactured in one place. The island of Taiwan, and more specifically within the walls of a handful of fabrication plants owned by a single company, meaning that the entire digital age, the stock markets, the militaries, the hospitals, the banks, all of it rests on a foundation as narrow and precarious as a tightrope strung across a geopolitical fault line. And if that sounds like an exaggeration, consider this. Unlike oil, which can be pumped from dozens of countries across multiple continents, the most advanced chip fabrication process on Earth cannot simply be replicated elsewhere overnight. It took decades of accumulated engineering knowledge, trillions of dollars in specialized infrastructure, and a level of precision measured in nanometers to build what exists in Taiwan today, which means if this single point of failure were ever disrupted, through natural disaster, political conflict, or the geopolitical tension simmering in the region, the shock would not stay contained to one industry. It would ripple outward instantly, freezing automobile production, halting smartphone shipments, crippling data centers, and exposing just how fragile our so-called advanced economy truly is, because we built skyscrapers of digital innovation on a foundation of sand. And now, layered on top of this fragile technological dependency, is another crisis quietly brewing beneath the surface. The modern debt crisis, and here is where history begins to rhyme in ways that should make us uneasy, because throughout history, empires and economies have followed a familiar and brutal cycle. Periods of extraordinary growth fueled by cheap resources and easy credit, followed by overextension, followed by a sudden reckoning when the underlying resource or financial system can no longer support the weight built on top of it. And today, the world is drowning in unprecedented levels of government and corporate debt, propped up by decades of historically low interest rates, and just as oil scarcity once triggered inflation shocks and economic chaos in the 1970s, today's combination of chip dependency and mounting debt creates a dangerous convergence. A bottleneck economy sitting on top of a bubble economy, and the question we must ask ourselves is not whether this cycle will repeat, but where exactly we are standing within it. Right now, are we in the early stages of overextension, or are we standing at the edge of the cliff without realizing it? And this is precisely why understanding this hidden vulnerability matters more than ever, because the systems that seem the most stable, global trade, financial markets, technological progress, are often the most exposed to a single point of catastrophic failure. And history has shown us again and again that those who understand the fragile foundations beneath prosperity are the ones best positioned to navigate the coming turbulence, not through panic, but through preparation, diversifying where possible, understanding the geopolitical chessboard shaping semiconductor production, and paying close attention to how nations are scrambling to build their own chip manufacturing capabilities as a form of economic self-defense. Because in the end, this is not just a story about technology or finance. It is a story about power, dependency, and the uncomfortable reality that the modern world, for all its advancement, still rests on a foundation as narrow, as fragile, and as strategically contested as the oil fields of the last century. an understanding that truth may be the single most important insight for navigating the economic uncertainty of the years ahead.